Oh, hey guys, sorry, I was just looking at a butterfly. Today, episode 4 of The Fucked Up Therapist, and we're going to talk about my experience of the Vipassana meditations and going in to learn the Vipassana technique. So, it's been an amazing week. I've just come back from Spain. I was driving back up to Switzerland, relocating up here, and in the meantime, I suddenly thought, well, why not go and explore the Vipassana technique and Vipassana meditations? So, many of you might not know what the Vipassana is. Maybe some of you are kind of interested in understanding what it is. So let me go through the process a little bit and my experience of how these 10 days went and what it actually brought for me. So first of all, I'll start with the benefits and what it's actually brought. The first thing it has, it's really changed for me, is completely observing things in a different way. So it's pulling myself back and being very observing of situations, of what's happening inside my body, how I'm feeling. And that's been a major change when things are happening. I could get angry for something or annoyed with something, but how long is it going to stay? Or super excited by something, how long is that going to stay too? So that's been one of the main points which is changing in my life and which is having massive positive impact on relationships, people I'm with, or my connections, my interactions, and even all the work that I do as an energy healer and a hypnotherapist. So I'm basically integrating quite a lot of all this now in my day-to-day work. So let's go a little bit through what the Vipassana is and how it actually works. So Vipassana is the Dhamma foundation, and the way they work is they only work on donations for the new students. So you can go and experience that based on the fact that some people have donated for you to be able to go there, whether their time or money or land or whatever, something has been actually donated in this way for us to be able to experience it. So that's pretty amazing already in that part of being kind and generosity. Then one of the main things of the Vipassana is basically how it functions. So there are kind of quite a lot of roots of Buddha basically within there. So quite a lot of Buddhism in the concepts and the precepts. And the idea is really to have a technique which is non-judgmental, which is not based on gods or religions or race, ethnicity, beliefs. And the idea is to cut all of this off so that it's accessible to absolutely everyone. The way to do that, we're going to connect to our breath. So basically that's the kind of the whole idea. For 10 days, we're going to connect to our breath. But in order to do so and to be able to clear out anything that we've done, for example, in my case, I also work as an energy healer and hypnotherapist. So I could be integrating all this and thinking, okay, bring a little piece of this, bring a little piece of that. And how is all that going to kind of get together? No, the idea is go back into yourself. And I had to actually vow and write down that I would not use or integrate, embed any of the techniques and skills that I usually use during those 10 days in order to give a fair trial to the technique and to learn and to see what it can actually give me, which seemed very fair to me somehow. So the way it works is, as I say, non-dogmatic. We're going to go back into the body really, and to do so, well, there's a little bit of a code of conduct, or first of all, a few concepts. So the three concepts surrounding Vipassana are the Sila, the Samadhi, and the Panya. And the first thing of the Sila is basically our ethical behaviors. They kind of are precepts of conduct. So they're based on 5. And the first one is you shall not kill any other beings. The second one is you should not steal. The third one is you are going to abstain from any sexual misconduct or basically conduct during the course. And then you will abstain from any intoxicants or any other kind of drugs, alcohol or whatever. And the last one, you shall not tell lies. So those are basically the 5 concepts for the Vipassana and basically for life. That's kind of the idea. Don't do these things, and that's their kind of concept. From there code of conduct, we abide to the sila, and we are going to enter also the state of noble silence. So within the agreements that we have to do to enter the Vipassana, there are a few things. The first one is that we are going to enter noble silence, which means that we do not look at people, we do not talk at people, and we do not use our hands to communicate in any way with someone to get something happen. We're going to look down or gaze, but we don't kind of seek contact with people. The second one is that we abide to the schedules, which is we start and wake up at 4 in the morning and we go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock. So that's kind of the idea. In between that, 3 breaks, meals, so breakfast, meal, and then a little snack at 5 o'clock, and the rest meditating, 11 hours a day. The third one is basically we are going to be dedicated to the practice. So we're going to focus and listen to the learnings and work our best to get through the understanding of the technique, practice, and follow what the masters are actually giving us as information. The fourth one, which was basically asked quite a few times even during the registration, is that we shall hang in there for the 10 days. Okay, so it's actually 12 days, registration day, leaving day, and 10 days of the technique. So during those 12 days, we are staying. Whatever happens, we stay. You don't go out after 3 or 4 days and say, okay, I've had enough. We go through the process and see how that's going to work. So those are the important things which we basically decide to sign into and to accept to go into the class and to the technique and training. Once we've done that, well, we decide to go and choose a Vipassana center. So first of all, we go on the Dharma website and choose a location. With the locations, you have different dates, the dates of the courses for the 10-day classes, with opening sessions for men or for women, as we're going to be totally separate during the 10 days. Find your date. One tip, be specifically on time the day of the online registration. Seats go very fast. Some of the centers are small, some are bigger, but the spaces go like lightning. So 8 o'clock or whenever the date or the time is given, be there and refresh. Otherwise, it'll be difficult to get your seat. Once you've got your seat, you've got time to fill in the documentation online, you fill in all the process, and you'll get a couple of answers. Either they're going to come back and forth with questions, as they did with me as a therapist, as I was practicing other activities, and I decided to be fully honest and fully transparent with them. I don't want to lie, so why should I actually refrain? So lying or not saying, keeping secret, withholding information, doesn't really make sense to me. So it was like, okay, bring it out there and see what it takes. So it took a few back and forths, but then I was in. Receive a few emails telling us what kind of stuff we need to take. I'll tell you a little bit more about it after. And then on and running, ready for the registration day. So I decided to go to the Dharma Seca, which is one of the 2 centers in Spain, nearer Candeleda, so near Madrid, 2 hours from Madrid. There's another one in Barcelona, a little bit smaller, but I opted for this one. Beautiful setting, amazing place with mountains, views. You could have the scents and smell of all the flowers and everything, and a nice place to walk with reasonable temperatures. In our case, we started at 19 degrees. We had 2 days at 35 and then went back down kind of thing. So there were days where it was hot. There were days where we were looking forward to meditating, and other days a little bit less. And that's kind of all the depth of the work too. So then with that, what was my journey? I decided 5 years ago that I wanted to take part in a Vipassana. But unfortunately, at that time, my partner was diagnosed cancer, and her chemo session fell on that period. So I called in and basically had to cancel, which seemed just the fairest option. And then a few years later, suddenly I had that hunch. I'm like, go and do a Vipassana. So that's what I did, and I registered to this one 5 years after, and now I understand why. With all the learnings and everything I'd gone through for 5 years, it made perfect sense that it was now and then, before returning to Switzerland. So without further ado, let's go in a little bit more with the with what's needed for you and how you're going to actually get through all this. So first of all, what do you need to take, the gear or the preparation? I'd recommend that you start sitting occasionally in a calm space and not move that much. That's going to help get your posture straight, get your position, and close your eyes and start going into your breathing. Even if it's a few minutes a day to start with, get into that habit. It'll make it a little bit easier. Drink quite a lot of water also, allow your body to flush. That's going to be useful already for the whole preparation and for the actual 10 days. Then on the rest of the time, basically the preparation, what you need is clothes and toiletry. All the rest you'll have to give in, so don't take it. It's pointless. If you're traveling, well, they have lockers where you can put the stuff in, small stuff. It's not a big locker, but you don't need that much. You're going to be sitting for 11 hours a day with people who aren't looking at you because they don't care either. So you need to feel comfortable. Look at the temperatures in the place. Decide if you need something for the rain, for the warm, for the basically to be a little bit warmer. Hoodies, a blanket, and something which is going to be really, really comfortable to sit in. So I'd avoid jeans, take comfortable pants and stuff. And you'll need also, so your toiletries, and you will also need sheets. So under sheet and a top sheet for your bed. That's what they asked, at least in ours. And headlight, that's going to be useful at night, depending when you go and the period of the night and the place, to be able to go out to the meditation hall at 4:30 in the morning. So headlights is one of the stuff. So now we've gone through a little bit of the gear and the stuff we needed and how the Vipassana works. Well, basically, let's go into the various days and how the whole 10 days or 12 days are going to take place. First of all, you get your registration day. So you arrive there, you're allowed to talk. You get to meet people. The girls are on one side, the men are on the other. And then we start filling in a form and we have some time to have a drink, to chat with people, to discuss a little bit. And they show us our room. We get to set up a little bit, to settle, to get to walk around the area and the whole precinct, basically, to know where we're going to go. And then there's a meal, and the first evening we start with the first meditation from 8 to 9:30, where during that first meditation, the concept of the first part of the Vipassana is going to be taught, the Anapana. And the Anapana is the breathing. So it's just going to learn to focus on our breath, find our comfortable space. We're given a space which we're going to keep for the whole week. And then we sit and we listen to the guidance, which is an audio of Goenka, the founder of the last founder, basically, of the Vipassana Foundation. And so we start breathing with focus on the top of the nose down to the bottom of our lips. Why is that? Basically because that's going to teach our mind focus. So it brings back to the second concept, which I was talking to from before, was the samadhi. And the samadhi is the mind strengthening. So by focusing on this area and learning to feel just the breath going in and out of our body, well, we're going to focus a little bit more, and our mind is going to be trained to enter the sensations in the body, which are going to be useful for the next steps. Anapana is the first part. So during the next 3 days, basically what's going to happen, to cut it short, is that we're going to wake up at 4 in the morning, 4:30 to 6:30, we're going to sit either in the meditation hall or in our room, but usually in meditation hall. Definitely recommend that. And we're going to breathe. We're going to learn to feel the breathing going in, feel our breath, and where it's basically hitting somewhere in our nose. Become aware of that. So we're learning, we're increasing awareness. And the longer we go, day 1, day 2, we shorten the area, it goes a little bit smaller, and day 3, it gets really small to start feeling in a very, very small area. And that brings our mind to become more and more acute. And once we focused on the breath for those 3 days with the Anapana, well, we're going into the next step, which is sensations. And that's the root of the Vipassana. So we start feeling what sensations are happening in this space, nowhere else. So we might start feeling everywhere, but we're kind of, okay, letting them aside as if there was some kind of a TV on the side, and when we know it's there, but we're not watching. And what's going to happen during those 3 days is our mind is going to go all over the place for most people. Some people might not, but most of us do. For mine, it went all over. And the idea is to take care of it like a kind, as if we were basically taming a wild animal. So we're not going to basically hit it and give it harm and yell at it and say, oh, F, whatever, it's not working. No, 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 it's okay. Come back to the breath. And then we realize our mind's wandering again. Come back to the breath. And it goes back again. Come back to the breath. So we're basically doing all that work of coming back into ourselves every time our mind wanders and being more and more aware. And it's going to happen even most certainly up to day 10 for many people. The mind wanders and it's really going into that. So mind wandering, refocusing, coming back into that area. And then arrives kind of day 4, we're entering the beginning of the Vipassana, starting to learn a little bit more of the technique. So the idea is once we've focused on the anapana and the sensations, well, we're teaching our body to discover that it feels things, whether stinging, clinging, pinching, whatever sensation. It could be itching or just tingling. We feel everything kind of, we start sensing. And the more we feel, the more we start sensing. When we go into the next day of the Vipassana, well, we're going to start doing what we call body scans. So the body scan is going to be the same thing, where we're going to go from the very top, crown basically, crown chakra, just at the part where, back of the head, just slightly up here, where we're going to go down as if we were scanning the whole body with a search for sensations, perceptions. So people are going to look very far for that. It could be pain, it could be a shiver, it could be heat, it could be feeling the air just going on our body. It could be anything, could be tingling, could be, there's no quest to anything very special. We're not looking for something ecstatic. That's what we're just observing. And the aim is to observe. We're not changing our breathing patterns. We're not going to do special breaths as we do in other techniques. It's just being observant. For the 3 days of Anapana, the same thing, observe your breath, and there, observe your breath and observe the sensations in your body. That's going to teach us the various things which are based on the Vipassana, which are the 2 main ones, equanimity and the law of impermanence. So equanimity is basically that we should observe the same way something which is painful than something which is pleasurable. Why? Because this too shall pass. The law of impermanence. Everything is impermanent. Everything changes. So let's go and observe it. And the idea is to see, well, interesting. How long is that going to last? How long is this emotion going to last? How long is this sensation going to last there? And the idea is we continue scanning because we're like, okay, I feel that it's there, but I'm not going to cling to it and to just stay there. I'm just going to continue and focus on the rest of my body. So we go for small body parts to start with, and then we go down and we start again. See, is it still there? And we continue, we continue, we continue. So to start with, body parts, clogged, first the heads, then the chest, upper chest, lower chest, upper back, lower back, top of the arm, second part of the arm, hand, and so on. And then we do the other part, we go on. So it's going to be big parts, gross parts. And then slowly within the next days, we go into finer detail. To start with, we continue scanning. Then we do symmetrical scanning. So we're going to observe both arms at the same time, front and back at the same time, both legs, and try and be symmetrical. Once we've done that, and we're starting to perceive the sensations, it might be gross sensations, really thick, really dense emotions, anger, pain, tears, or joy, bliss, whatever. We're feeling them in a very thick way. Well, then we start to perceive that everything's impermanent in our body and that we're just energy flowing. So we start probably feeling some tingling or more. We feel that there's movement in there. And once we start feeling that, we're going into what we call free flow, which is we decide that we can go and scan the way we want in our body, top to bottom, bottom to top, and we start going left, right, maybe in spirals, maybe zigzags, whatever shape, to kind of let the mind go a little bit and be more focused and start perceiving and feeling a little bit more. So that brings more and more awareness. And And what's going to happen, maybe, or at least what happened for me, was that there was a moment where I had an excruciating pain in my shoulder. I couldn't move it for 2 days. It was just burning, inflamed, and just throbbing, and I couldn't use it. I couldn't hardly hold anything with it. Even knife and fork, it was painful to eat. And then suddenly, in 5 minutes during a meditation, boom, that just absolutely cleared. No more pain, started feeling something else in another part of the body, because it had cleared all that karma, all these emotions, sensations, all that past which I was holding to within my body. So that's what actually happens. And then suddenly it's going to move to another place. There's another place of tension, and it's going to work on that. And then there's another place of tension, so it's going to kind of work on that. And during that time, we don't call upon divinities, we don't call upon energy, we don't try to change it, we just observe it. It's there. Right, let's see how long it's going to take. So that's really some kind of a part of the challenge too, is to just be more observant of everything which is taking place within our body. So those are basically all the steps, and we're going more and more into that Vipassana, into continuing our concepts of noble silence all the week, and feeling more and more inside. And the idea is to be able to feel more and more inside. Well, obviously, that's why they took our phones away. That's why we gave our keys away. That's why we're not allowed to books or to anything. Because like that, all we can do is focus within. And so we do that until the 9th day of the course. And then day 10 is breaking noble silence. And what's very interesting there is suddenly we started at 10 o'clock. We could suddenly talk. So some people just completely went to the side. They didn't fancy talking. Others were really talkative. And we started having chats and really reconnecting to our experience, seeing that how that kind of went. And from there, one of the interesting things that Cuenca was basically giving us on every evening, we have a discourse, and he was telling us about how things were working, the concepts, and how to go more in depth. And within that, he was saying the 9th day is going to be the last serious day, and the 10th day is basically important, but it's not a dedicated day. And it's true. What actually helps is that suddenly you're going back into the real life. So you're talking with people, you're connecting, you're mingling, you're having a great time. You suddenly feel like super cheerful again. You can connect. And then what's going to happen is, ding, goes the gong, and you're meant to go back and meditate. And that's where the biggest learning is for me, or at least is that in a day-to-day life, sometimes you don't feel like it. And there's your choice. That's your free will, but it's being determined to say, right, this has been good for me, this has helped. Let's go back and meditate 1 hour, 2 hours a day. Even though I have a busy life, even though I'm connecting with friends or I'm with my partner, kids, family, and it's finding a way to do it because the benefits overcome or overrule basically the negative sides of it. So during that whole day, 3 meditations and more discussions with people, and bringing all that will in to be able to go to the meditation hall. And on the last afternoon of day 10, we learned the metta meditation, which is basically how to send all that love. And it's more of a guided meditation where we send all that love out to the world and other beings, where the idea is may all beings be happy. And we're trying to bring all that love out on all those sensations and all the good that we have. Well, we need to bring it out. But in order to do so, well, we had to go through the sila, the samadhi, and the panya, which is experiencing ourselves in the body. That's really the main thing. So what I really take out of this Vipassana is something that I've been somehow preaching for years in therapy or in my healing sessions, is that there's lots of stuff online. There are loads of books. We're in an era of technology, of science, of knowledge. So yeah, absolutely. Intellectual knowledge. There's so much. People are feeding themselves with it, and they've seen something, or they're tipping their toes in something, but how have they actually embodied? And the embodiment is the hard part, because that's when you actually experience life. You've gone through things and you're going to help people, but based on something that you've lived, that you've overcome, that you've gone through, that you've discovered, and how you can talk about things based on how you've worked through the path. We need to walk the path, and that's the panya. The Vipassana was quite an amazing experience, and honestly, it's not for everyone. It's shown online as the kind of highlight, the amazing thing, and again, that's maybe social media where people just bring out all the positives. So there are loads of positives, and yes, but one important thing is we need to be ready mentally, because it's hard. It is going to take dedication. There are moments where we're not allowed to walk or to move at all during the sessions. And it's going to take that willpower, which we might not think that we have, and we're going to discover whilst going there, because we're guided, we're held. And be prepared to go there and to say, right, I feel I'm called to do that. I don't know why. If I'm called to do it, go and do it. Amazing experience. It will be life-changing. And for me, it felt like as if I had done 100 hours of receiving energy healings during the 10 days, or 100 hours of hypnotherapy with a client, like a massive, super intense program of going deep. But there it taught me also to be able to do it within myself by breathing, the same way that I would do self-hypnosis or self-energy healing. So that's another aspect of how trance works and connects basically with the body, and how the body keeps the score of everything we've gone through in our lives, and even maybe past or future lives according to our beliefs. So very interesting, very deep work, and basically it'll bring to my next episode, the episode 5, which is where I'm going to talk about the different types of trance and how they actually all come back to the same place, but from a different perspective or different point of view, which means that we're being more observant of what truth is, which is there really a universal truth, or do we all hold one truth, and how does that all connect together? So, well, that's my take on the Vipassana. That's a little bit of what I went through, and I hope that helps or that motivates you to basically go and explore. And for me, this is also my way of giving back to the foundation, because I think that many people can benefit from that we can learn from it. And that's my dana, and dana is basically our donation, how we give, whether time or finances or something, as I was talking at the beginning, to be able to give there. So if you feel like you have questions, comments, whatever that you'd like to learn a little bit more about, just write down something and I'm going to just assist you and guide you a little bit. And if I can be of any help, or if that's been useful, well, I'm really happy for that. And if not, well, at least you've learned a little bit of something about the Vipassana. So have a lovely day. Thanks for everything, and looking forward to talking to you on episode number 5.